Howdy, y'all. Mrs. Bowling here, coming to you live from my dining room once again. I wanted to talk to you guys today about theme because we are getting to the point in your stories where you really need to start thinking about what the theme could possibly be. You've read it, you've summarized it, you've kind of pulled out some of the explicit and implicit information in your story. Now it's really time to move on to the big show, finding theme. Now, theme is that big overarching idea that the author wants you to get from reading this story. So let's go ahead and flip the page here. You've probably seen something like this before where a teacher might talk to you about how the theme really could just be a word like courage or family or acceptance or greed or honesty. Um, and those aren't themes. Those are definitely not themes. Those are topics. Theme is not the same thing as topics. Topics do not equal themes. Now, topics are great. You need to be able to get topics out of your stories. They're essential because they lead us to themes. So don't discount these as something that I don't want you to do. I actually do want you to do this. But you're going to need to, work from those topics and lead yourself to the theme. So the first thing that you really need to do when you're trying to figure out a theme is list all of the topics that you think come up over and over again in your story. So anything that you think kind of occurs throughout, any patterns that you see that lead you to a topic are great. That is what you would definitely want to pay attention to. So I actually didn't make a list. I wish I would have. But I went ahead and started out by writing. Let me see if I can find something to cover this up. This sentence. The author believes that love can transform people. So when it's time for you to do your topics, you've done your topics, you've listed them all out, you and your group have come up with like 5 or 6 topics that you think your story covers. What you're going to do is write the sentence that starts with the words, the author believes that. Because what you are trying to get to with that topic is what the author believes about it in the story, what the author believes to be true about that topic in your story. So I chose the topic of love. Oh, love. Who doesn't love love? Love. The author believes that love can transform people. And I'm doing this with a retrieved reformation, of course, our mentor text, our story about Jimmy Valentine, safecracker, who changes his ways for the dear Annabelle Adams so that he can woo her and marry her and live with her happily ever after. Gives up his entire life of crime, opens a shoe store just so that he can be with this woman that he doesn't even know. So I think I could definitely say the author believes that love can transform people. We've got this crook who's been in jail on several occasions, professional safecracker. Nobody can catch him, nobody can stop him, and he completely changes his entire life to be with this girl, falls instantly in love with her. But I can't say this without having support for it. Okay. So I can say the author believes that love can transform people, but I have to have support for it. So I wrote down some support from the story. And this is what you're going to do next. After you write the author believes statement, the author believes that love can transform people, you're going to put evidence from the story that helps support that. So I've got a couple things. First, Jimmy Valentine looked into her eyes, forgot what he was, and became another man. This was the first time that he saw Annabelle Adams, and he was actually getting ready to go into her father's bank so that he could kind of case the joint and see how easy it would be to rob. But instead, he sees this girl, Annabelle Adams, walking into the bank and immediately falls in love and pretty much instantly becomes another man, meaning that he's already changing. He's already thinking about how he can get to this girl. And then the next part is Mr. Ralph Spencer, the phoenix that arose from Jimmy Valentine's ashes, ashes left by the flame of a sudden and alterative attack of love, remained in Elmore and prospered. So he actually decided to stay in this town. He opens a shoe store and lives there, stops robbing banks, stops doing the thing that he's always been the best at, because he's in love with Annabelle Adams. I've got some more on this page. Let me flip here. He writes a letter to a friend of his. He's going to give him his safe cracking tools, and he says, "I'm making honest living, and I'm going to marry the finest girl on earth 2 weeks from now. It's the only life, Billy, the straight one." And then there's some other stuff. That's why I put the ellipsis there, and then I picked it up later. "I tell you, Billy, she's an angel. She believes in me, and I wouldn't do another crooked thing for the whole world." Wow. Really sounds like this guy has transformed, right? Because of love. So I have that statement, and I have all this evidence that supports that statement. That actually works as a pretty good theme. I have several pieces of evidence that support it. So yeah, I could definitely move forward with that. Another idea, another topic that I got from this story was one of change, or maybe like the inability to change. So I wrote that here. The author believes that. That's how I'm starting my sentence. The author believes that true change is not possible. If I'm really thinking about this story and really thinking about Jimmy Valentine and who he is and who he became, he lies. He is a liar. He lies throughout the entire story. He lies about being innocent when he's in jail. He claims that he's innocent. He lies that he isn't going to go rob a safe when he, in fact, is going to go rob several safes at banks. He lies about who he is once he gets into Elmore. Says that he's Ralph D. Spencer when he's actually Jimmy Valentine. He lies about his business. He opens a shoe store, even though that's something that he's never actually done before. He lies to Annabelle when he says that he's going to town to return some shoe horns, and he's actually going to give his burglary tools to a friend. So throughout this entire story, even when Jimmy is trying to be a better person, he's still a huge liar. So that kind of got me thinking on that topic, that maybe the author believes that true change isn't actually possible. What really clinched it for me was the title of the story. The title of the story is A Retrieved Reformation. A reformation, like reform, is when you change something about yourself for the better. Retrieved means, like, you think about a golden retriever or a dog retrieving a ball, that means they bring it back. So this is a story about somebody who is reformed and then they take that back. Like, for a while, he was a good person, and then something happened that made him kind of change his ways again. So let's go through the evidence that I collected. This first one, he opened his briefcase, and gazed fondly at the finest set of burglar's tools in the East. It was a complete set made of specially tempered steel, the latest designs in drills, punches, braces, and bits, jimmies, clamps, and it goes on, lists a bunch of tools, and says that he even designed some of them himself, and he was very proud of them. So we know that he's a burglar. We know that he's a safe cracker. It goes on later to talk about all these safes in the area that he has been cracking, or at least it's his signature. Like, it looks as though Jimmy Valentine cracked those safes, so everybody's assuming that it was him. Then Jimmy goes into Elmore. He's standing outside the bank when Annabelle walks by, kind of instantly falls in love, and so he grabs a boy that's sitting nearby, says, Jimmy collared a boy that was loafing on the steps of the bank as if he were one of the stockholders, and began to ask him questions about the town, feeding him dimes at intervals. And he asked the little boy, "Isn't that young lady Polly Simpson?" asked Jimmy with specious guile. Guile means that you're tricking someone. You seem like you're innocent, but you're actually not. You know exactly what you're talking about. So he knew when he asked this boy that it wasn't really Polly Simpson. He doesn't even know who Polly Simpson is. He doesn't even know anybody named Polly Simpson. He just wanted to get Annabelle's real name out of this kid, which is why he did that. So, again, lying. Got lots more here. Up here at the top, Jimmy went to Planter's Hotel, registered as Ralph D. Spencer, and engaged a room. So he went to the hotel, posed as somebody other than himself, and rented a room. He opened a shoe store and secured a good run of trade. He is not a shoe salesman, he's not a shoe manufacturer, but still, he opens a shoe store as though that's his business that he's always had and runs the store in town. In his briefcase, when he's about ready to go give his briefcase full of safe cracking tools to his friend, somebody picks it up and says that it feels like a ton of gold bricks are inside. It's very heavy. He says, "A lot of nickel-plated shoehorns in there," said Jimmy coolly, "that I'm going to return." Another lie. And then the big moment comes. The little girl accidentally locks her sister in the safe, and somebody has to do something. There is no way to open it. The banker himself cannot open the safe, something with a clock not being set. And the little girl is quite possibly going to die in the safe because she will run out of air or starve or whatever, but nobody is able to get her out. In a moment of hysteria, Annabelle turns to Jimmy, who she thinks is Ralph Spencer, and says, "Ralph, isn't there anything you can do?" So he busts out his safe cracking tools, which nobody knows that he has because nobody knows that he is a professional bank robber. Everybody thinks he's Ralph D. Spencer, shoe salesman. In a minute, Jimmy's pet drill was biting smoothly into the steel door. In 10 minutes, breaking his own record, he threw back the bolts and opened the door. So finally, he reveals to himself, or to everyone, he reveals to everyone who he actually is. And in that moment, he knows that he can't go back to being Ralph D. Spencer. He knows that he can't go back to being that person that he is, Jimmy Valentine. He tried to be good for a while, and it was awesome. But by opening that briefcase and exposing who he actually is, he has now lost the love of his life. There's no going back. As he went, he turned away and started to walk out of the bank. As he went, he thought he heard a faraway voice that he once knew call, "Ralph!" But he never hesitated. Just kept walking out of the door. He knew that all of that lying wasn't going to be something that he could sustain for the rest of his life, and he just gave it up to save this girl. So he knew that he wasn't going to be able to, keep Annabelle forever because the lie was over. He was exposed. So I definitely think, just looking back at this, I have like 7 pieces of evidence that support this theme, that the author believes that true change is not possible. If I'm choosing the best theme, I really feel like that's the one I have to go with. I have some good support for the author believes that love transforms people, but I think even just according to the title of the story, I think the author really doesn't believe that you can change. He believes that true change is impossible. And I have a lot of evidence to support that, a lot. So this is what I want you to do. I want you guys to do the same thing with your stories. We understand that topics and theme are not the same thing. A topic does not equal a theme. You need to work to develop a complex theme. You need to be able to have evidence that supports a complex theme. So these topics are great because they guide us to themes, but they're not themes in themselves. It needs to be more complex than just one word. When you get your list of topics and you're ready to start exploring what some possible themes are, start your sentence using "the author believes" and fill in what do you think it is that the author believes about that topic. That topic came up over and over again in the story. What is the author trying to tell you about it? And then list the evidence from the text that supports each theme. All of mine was quoted evidence. Yours doesn't necessarily have to be. It would probably work best if it was, though. And yeah, I think you guys are going to do an awesome job with this. I think this is a really good, clean way to think about theme, and you're going to rock it out. So I'm going to go ahead and make a Google Doc so that you guys can do this online. This will be your first official piece of homework that you turn in. You can work on it by yourself if you want, or you can work on it with your group if you want. I think it would probably be a lot easier if you did work with your group, but it's completely and totally up to you. You guys can do whatever. So that's it. Awesome. Good luck finding theme. May the force be with you. Goodbye.